Welcome to Just Talking About Jesus. I'm Jan Johnson, a seasoned believer who loves relationships and, just talking about Jesus. Here you'll hear inspiring stories from a woman who went from using meth to starting a ministry in Kenya, or the man who had a life-changing encounter with someone in Home Depot, of all places, or a woman who has endured years of chronic pain after having her gallbladder, spleen, and pancreas removed. Every conversation goes deep into how God has changed lives and brought us to a place of surrender, sharing joys, sorrows, and just life in general. We don't have to go it alone because we can go hand in hand with Jesus on our journey. Jesus desires a relationship with us, with you. He wants to know us intimately. Revelations 12:11 says, "And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony." That's what I'm talking about. The word of our testimony, just talking about Jesus. Join us each week.
Yes, it does give me more faith for knowing what the Lord can do and will do in various instances. Mm-hmm. I don't like to take it for granted. God doesn't always step in and make the best of each situation. I consider myself pretty blessed in the way that he's dealt with me through my life. But it, I think, helps me be a little more compassionate to those that struggle through difficult situations. I know the pain people go through. I know the difficulty with trying to recover from different things. It's not easy, and it's certainly something, at least in my cases, I've had to rely on God to help pull me through a lot of those situations. But it also, I would have to say, it gives me a more positive outlook, knowing that you can pull through it. It gives me a lot more hope out of it.
Welcome, my friends, to episode 69 of Just Talking About Jesus. Last week, we heard Faith Ajiga tell about the conflicts in her home country of Nigeria and how that led her to writing thriller books about terrorism and war. Today's guest, Rob Linton, shares his extraordinary journey from growing up as a missionary kid in Papua and Indonesia to becoming an engineer with a love for classic cars and motorcycles. Living on a farm in Washington with his wife, Rob reflects on the adventures and challenges that shaped his faith, including a near-fatal car accident, a daring motorcycle trip through Peru with his father, navigating personal loss, and finding new purpose in retirement. His story is a powerful reminder that God's calling doesn't end with life changes. It simply takes new forms. Welcome, everybody, to this episode. So I have Rob Linton with me.
Hi there.
Rob, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So, kind of an interesting question, but I'll give it a shot. My name's Robert, and I currently live in Astoria. We do have a farm out in La Center, Washington, and we absolutely love it. I have an incredible wife. We've been married about 4 years, and we absolutely have an incredible relationship. It's a very, very special relationship. I grew up as a missionary kid. I got a career as an engineer, worked my whole life through aerospace, and had a passion for cars and motorcycles. So I've got a collection of those at this point.
A few would be like approximately how many cars?
About a dozen cars and good half a dozen motorcycles or more that are just toys. They're just things that I play around with.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. We're trying to build a house on the farm at this point. And so we've been working on that, trying to get that ready to go.
Yeah. And so how did you decide this location for your farm?
I needed a place to store my car. So this farm had a couple of barns. And so we get to store the cars in the barns, which is kind of nice.
Well, I looked the world over and this is where we landed. Well, that's good. The weather's warm, but you're kind of centrally located. That's
right.
That's good, too.
It's easy to get to the airport. My wife and I enjoy traveling, so we get to bounce down to the airport pretty easily from here.
Yeah, pretty good. All right. So tell me, what you grew up with missionaries? Where did you grow up? Is it just one place, or you were all over the place? Or
A couple of places. My folks were administrators with Wycliffe Bible Translators. And so they did various projects around the world. One of the more significant projects that affected me was when they went to build a new high school in Papua, Indonesia. And so we went over there for 3 years during high school. I went to a boarding school at that time in Papua New Guinea, which was a very cool experience, and got to come home and visit family 4 or 5 times a year, which was pretty special.
what did you like about the high school experience?
It gave me a lot of personal freedom, opportunities to explore the local area, opportunities to know more about myself and understand myself in a better way, and got to know the Lord a lot better during those years, which was pretty special.
Were all the students missionary kids, or they were from other places?
The majority were missionary kids. There were some various different officials there in Papua that would send their kids up to that school and so on, that would live nearby.
Yeah. So you had different, what did they speak?
In Papua New Guinea, they speak Pidgin. And in Indonesia, it's basically Bahasa Indonesia or Indonesian.
And are you fluent in either?
No, I'm not. I do speak Indonesian a little bit. And as Lori and I get to travel over there, I can actually communicate and discuss things, figure out how to catch a boat that we missed.
Navigate.
Like that. So it's very, very helpful to be able to do that. I do not speak any Pidgin, maybe 4 or 5 words in Pidgin English.
Do they have Pidgin on, on Duolingo or something you can?
They do.
Do they?
I've never exposed myself to it.
So growing up, you're exposed to a Christian lifestyle or whatever. When did God become your own?
It was during high school. There were a couple of pretty significant moments in high school that affected me. One was a senior retreat that we had where all the seniors took off and they basically had a weekend away down in a nearby city. Pretty special time. Got to know the Lord pretty closely in a more personal way during that trip. And then about a month before graduation, I had a pretty horrific car accident where my roommate was driving. I was just about killed. I was put in a coma for over a week with my head gashed open, skull broken, the side of my head kind of ripped off. But miraculously, there was a pretty well-known surgeon from Australia that just happened to be at the hospital doing some training that weekend. And when I showed up in the hospital, the nurses and doctors were doing the death wail and they were sure I was dead. And he said he would give it a shot and put me back together. And he did. And I somehow pulled through and survived. And the best thing about that was that I missed my final exams in high school. But no, that experience really helped me understand that God has a deeper purpose for my life and something special for me in store. So,
definitely was not done with you yet.
That's right.
So what, have you seen some of those special purposes?
So I have a number of different things. One is reaching out to a number of troubled men in my life throughout. They just seem to gravitate towards me. I find them. I work with them. We've got some pretty cool relationships. I've done some building restorations up in Washington. Met a number of guys doing stuff like that through business and so on. Just a number of different struggling men in various aspects. I wouldn't say that I've been a key to bring them to any particular place in their life, but it's been a pretty impactful to me and to them. And then when my first wife passed away, it was a pretty rough time for a few years there where kind of struggling as to where I would land and what I would end up doing. And so it was pretty special to have some of these relationships with different guys that I could work through problems and issues with. So it not only benefited them, I'd like to think, but it also benefited me in those times of need.
Always, whenever you're doing that, it does. Yeah, because it brings forth, I think it illuminates things that you don't even realize you know.
For sure.
I mean, it comes from the depths of who you are when you're trying to help somebody too.
Yeah.
A little bit of the Holy Spirit, maybe.
Yep, for sure.
In there too.
It's kind of neat because, it's an opportunity to kind of outreach and participate in their lives a little bit and show them a different side of what the world has to offer. So it's
Yeah. So you were an engineer, and then you're retired now?
I've retired now, and my wife and I both have retired, and we do a lot of traveling now. And I've been fortunate in that, we get this time to be able to spend together and do various things together. We find ourselves a little more busy now than we always wish, but we do find time to travel. So it's kind of special.
Yeah, and it's a special time. Where are some of the places you've traveled?
We've been to Africa, a number of places around Africa. Wife and I got to go spend a month in Indonesia, in Papua, Indonesia, which is a place that not many tourists get to go. We've done some scuba diving in various places in Indonesia, around Bali, Raja Ampat, and we've spent 2 or 3 different times in Bali. Love Bali. There's a small little island away from the city that's pretty special. And traveled to Mexico a number of times. We did get to travel to Peru, which is where I was born.
Oh.
We got to go back to the place that I was born, the little village of Yurinacocha, and I haven't been back there since
you were born.
And so we got to go there. That, again, is not a touristy area, but we had a blast. And, really, really enjoyed ourselves.
What was the story of you being born there?
My folks were teachers with Summer Institute of Linguistics, which is a kind of a offshoot of Wycliffe Bible Translators.
Yeah.
And they were short-term assistant teachers down there. And so while they were teaching out in the jungle, I happened to be born. So it's kind of funny.
Born at home in the jungle.
The story goes that my mother woke up in the middle of the night, knew she was having a baby, and my dad threw her on the back of the motorcycle and hauled her to the clinic, and they had me, and I've liked motorcycles ever since.
You were born with that love.
Yep.
Born with that love. So you had miraculous escape from an accident. Any other miracles in your life?
Well, there was a pretty interesting one about 15 years ago. I took my dad, and we took a trip to Peru. Figured we would go explore the highlands of Peru. We did not make it to the place I was born, but we went to Machu Picchu, and we did about a week of off-road motorcycling up around Machu Picchu, which was
just for old time's sake.
It was an incredible time. We had so much fun, and we found a bunch of places that you could run down through a field and zip across rivers and stuff like that. It was really kind of neat, and I really enjoyed it. I do a lot of off-road motorcycling, and my father, he enjoys a street bike once in a while. So it was a little more challenging for him. He ended up wrecking his motorcycle a few times, which most of the times it was pretty humorous, except for one time where he wrecked and ended up in a culvert, and it was pretty touch and go. We didn't really understand how bad the impact was at the time, but somehow the culvert was about 18 inches wide, about 3 feet deep. And I still can't figure out to this day how I did it, but I made sure that he could feel his feet and arms and everything. And I somehow helped him up out of that culvert, got him out, and we got his helmet off very carefully, took his backpack off, his laptop was soaked and everything. So we took him, and across the trail down on the other side was a river. And I managed to hobble him down there across these boulders, got him into the river, and dropped him right into the ice cold water and let this ice cold water run over his shoulders and his neck because his neck was really hurting. And we sat him there for about 45 minutes till he was just about turned blue. And it was starting to get dark. So I figured, you know what? And, when this first happened, my dad and I said, Lord, we're going to need some help through this one. And so we sat there, and I figured we got to do something because we cannot sit here. There's no traffic. Nobody was coming by this part of the road. And so we did not see a single car this entire time.
That's what I was going to ask, because you were fairly remote.
It was very remote. So I had laid all his stuff on the rocks to try to dry out a little bit. So I packed everything up, hobbled him back up to the road. He really couldn't put weight on his legs hardly at all. So I was pretty much manhandling him up there. We get him up to the road, and so we kind of discussed a couple options. I said, well, you leave your bike here, throw you on the back with me, go into town, try to do what you do, but no idea how to get your bike. And what we ended up doing, I'm sure it was the smartest thing we could have done. We put him on his own bike. I put his pack on the front of me, my pack on the back, and I had to run along and push start him, because basically he dropped it in second gear and couldn't put his feet down. So he goes taking off, and I'm like, don't stop until you see me. And so I jumped on the bike, chased after him as fast as I could. And about a half hour later, we come to a little village, and I was able to pull over at a little store that we found and basically catch him as he rode into me and to stop. And so we successfully got him to stop, hobbled him in there, found a hospital. We learned at the hospital, the doctor was at dinner or lunch or something. So we had to go wait for a half hour, and we turned the corner, and they said, go down to the pool. And we turned the corner, and there was this magnificent pool facility in the middle of the jungle. It was the most unusual thing we'd ever seen. It had hot tubs and slides and this massive pool. And so we sat around there for half hour, 45 minutes. And then I hobbled him back to the hospital. And the doctor looked him over, felt around, said, you're fine, nothing wrong with you. Gave him some painkillers.
Really?
And we went on our way. So that night, this story could be very long, but that night we barely slept because of the fireworks all night right outside our windows.
Mm-hmm.
And we get up in the morning, and I wrapped a towel and made kind of a neck brace for him, put his helmet on, and we basically sent him down the road. And we had about 200 kilometers to go. And we rode on dirt roads through creeks. And
he was on his own motorcycle?
He was on his own motorcycle.
And his legs were...
His legs had started working a lot better by this point. So we get all the way to the airport, and, here I am. I'm wanting to go do adventure. I'm like, hey, we got like 8 hours before our flight. And he's like, Rob, I'm sitting here. I'm doing nothing. So anyway, we flew to Lima and waited there. We flew back, and we get home to Denver is where he was living. And my mother picked us up. She knew something wasn't quite right with him because he was in a ton.
Because you didn't even call her or let her know ahead of time?
We had let her know. We had been texting and messaging and so on. So she knew something was up. Well, the next morning, because he didn't want to have anything done, but the next morning she's like, we got to get you checked out. And it turned out he had broken the C2 vertebrae, which is the hangman's vertebrae. And the doctor was completely shocked. Couldn't believe he wasn't paralyzed. Couldn't believe he could still move everything. He said 90% of people that break this, they're dead or they're paralyzed for life. And so he miraculously came through that without hardly anything. He has a little hard time turning, full motion on his neck still, but he, no negative effects from it. It's pretty amazing.
Wow.
So that was a place where
call that
God
miracle.
was definitely putting his hand in our lives during that time.
Definitely a but God moment, right?
For sure.
Holy moly. Huh. Well, I mean, you can just do anything that comes along, right?
Well, we can
handle anything.
God's been there for me through a number of times. When I broke my back at an accident, a couple years ago, I broke my wrist snowboarding. And I mean, he's a healer. He certainly does step into my life on a regular basis.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Wow. So you're one of those adventure boys.
I like my sense of adventure. It keeps me entertained.
And you married someone that likes adventure as well.
Exactly.
Right? Exactly. Oh my goodness. Wow.
Pretty special.
That is special. And just to have that relationship, to know that, whatever. Do you feel like it puts you in a place where when you see something bad has happened to somebody or whatever, that you feel like you have more faith for whatever's going to bring it through, or whether it's how has that affected you?
That's a really good question. Yes, it does give me more faith for knowing what the Lord can do and will do in various instances.
Mhm.
I don't like to take it for granted.
Right.
Yes, God doesn't always step in and make the best of each situation. I consider myself pretty blessed in the way that He's dealt with me through my life. But it, I think, helps me be a little more compassionate to those that struggle through difficult situations
Mhm.
because I know the pain people go through. I know the difficulty with trying to recover from different things.
Mhm.
It's not easy, and it's certainly something. At least in my cases, I've had to rely on God to help pull me through a lot of those situations. So, but it also, I would have to say, it gives me a more positive outlook, knowing that you can pull through it, and
Mhm.
it gives me a lot more hope. I would say.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. What would you tell people who might be going through things? Is it, that those unexpected kind of things? What would you tell them to think, or how to pray, or maybe favorite scriptures or something along those lines?
Well, the I guess the first thing that comes to mind when you say that is not to be afraid of what God's been from. I guess I'd say uh, enjoy life as you have it here on earth, as God's given us some pretty cool stuff to do. And I can't wait till the day to get to experience it in a different way in heaven with Him. But even with the hardships that He gives us here, knowing that He is our healer, He is our rock, that we can trust in Him and not to give up hope because He's He's a pretty powerful God.
Yeah.
And being able to rely on Him and be able to talk to Him on a regular basis and pray with Him and with others to be able to work with those issues. I like to think that these things only affect me when I get hurt, but I realize it affects my wife, kids, and family pretty significantly. So being able to sit down and pray, know that God's got His hand throughout all those different people is pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. There anything else you want to share?
That covers it
For at least for this episode, right?
for today.
Okay.
Exactly. No,
Thank
that's
you
great.
so much.
Thank you.
Well, we could have gone on and on with all of Rob's stories and adventures. What an interesting life he has chosen. And with adventures, sometimes come accidents. As we've seen in other episodes, those things that could cause us to lose hope often bring us closer to God. How do you see God in your own adventurous or unexpected life moments? I'd love to hear your story. Send me a text or comment in my Substack. I'm going to leave you with this scripture, Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. I want to credit music from Upbeat, from Aylex, called Wonders. Well, blessings, my friend. My husband and I will be traveling to Guatemala this week to visit our unbound families. I'm taking a break from my computer, so there will not be an episode next week. But I will look forward to joining you the following week when we hear from Kellen Peterson, a man devoted to having fun and a passion for teens. I'm sure you won't want to miss that. Do you have a friend or relative that would find value in this episode? Please share it. And you can let them know that if they'd prefer to watch, I always put these episodes on YouTube. So check that out in the show notes. And if you watch on YouTube, consider subscribing, because just as when you subscribe to this podcast and get notifications when new episodes are out, the same will happen if you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Then you won't miss an episode. Speaking of subscribing, are you getting my newsletters? These not only tell the guest stories, but also include pictures and links to the website and YouTube. I also add a little bit about my life. And who doesn't want to know that? You can find links in the show notes for that, and we will see you next time. Do you have a friend or relative that would find value in this episode? Please share it. And you can let them know that if they'd prefer to watch, I always put these episodes on YouTube. So check that out in the show notes. And if you watch on YouTube, consider subscribing, because just as when you subscribe to this podcast and get notification when new episodes are out, the same will happen if you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Just Talking About Jesus. And then you won't miss an episode. Speaking of subscribing, are you getting my newsletters? These not only tell the guest stories, but also include pictures and links to the website and YouTube. I also add a little about my life, and who doesn't want to know that?